駆け抜け青春スパーキング。いらっしゃいませ。お二人様でしょうか。
This is what I wanted from this route. At least I'm finally getting what I wanted from a route. I mean, it's not like I didn't get what I wanted from other routes. It's just, you know, Nagiko's route just traumatized me that much, you know? You get what I mean. But that small snippet, right? That small piece of backstory from you is a good hook, right? And it's something that people who play through Ritsu's route want, right? It's something that people would expect from a route where you're trying to date your sister, you know?
禁煙席と喫煙席がございますが、どちらになさいますか？わかりました。では、お席にご案内いたします。
He's improved very quickly. A week had passed since Ritsu and Hibiki started their part-time jobs. Ritsu's customer service skills have already improved. I guess I don't have to worry anymore. Since I was the one training her, it meant I could take a breather too.
いやー、さすが遠野くんの妹さんだね。
Oh, I didn't see you there. The manager suddenly appeared at my side. His arms were crossed and he was nodding happily to himself. It was a little chaotic at the start. I mean, yeah, he was new. You act like you weren't chaotic at the start? But I'm confident she'll be fine on her own going forward. She no longer broke plates or got customers' orders wrong.
たった1週間であそこまでやってくれれば文句なしだよ。遠野くんの接客スキルをりっちゃんも体現してるよ。血は争えないよね。
He gave me a firm pat on the shoulder. Right, I guess. We weren't actually related by blood. Don't worry, I already became aware of that fact after confidently stating that you were related by blood. So you don't need to remind me, alright? I already shot myself in the foot. So, you know, fuck you. There was no point bringing that up now, though.
最近はりっちゃん目当てのお客さんも増えてるんだよね。
Wow, really? None of them were weird guys, right? We did occasionally get customers who just came to try and hit on our servers. Yeah, but here's the funny thing, right? He gets this place gets those customers, but it is you who is racking in more money than the girls, right? I know it was a joke, right? I know it was a gag of it, right? That you being a waiter brings in 20% more profit than when he's off shift, right? But like, I'm very curious. A part of me wants to know how, you know? And I know it's never gonna happen, but like, a part of me still wants to know. Why is you so popular, right? That there is a noticeable enough bump in sales that you can what's the word? You can put a definitive number to it, right? There is a noticeable 20% bump in sales whenever you is on shift. And it has been consistent enough that it is yeah, it has become very noticeable, right? I was responsible for dealing with those sorts of people whenever I spotted them. Is that one of the reasons why his sale why he increases sales?
いやいや、遠野くん、ご心配なく。りっちゃんのお客さんはね、ほら、 あの年代だから。
I looked to where the manager was pointing. That generation. So like older folks or kids. There is it's one or the other.
りっちゃんひなちゃんまた来ちゃった。
Okay, it is kids.
ひなちゃんありがとう。
この子、あなたの大ファンになっちゃって。
Also, don't steal Hina from me, alright, Ritsu? The pair smiled and had a friendly chat with Ritsu. She's popular with children.
うん。波長が合うみたいだよ。
Now, is she more popular than you with children or less popular? Are you saying my sister is childish? I mean, kinda sometimes.
何言ってるの、遠野くん。幼い人に幼い子の面倒なんて見れないよ。
No, he makes a fair point. He's not wrong. Well, I suppose. Okay, to be more specific, it's specifically for adults that act childish, right? Like, children make friends with other children all the time. All right, that doesn't, and they're not mature like adults, right? So when a child is fond of an adult, right? They're fond of the mature aspect that an adult brings compared to someone their age, right? And Ritsu kind of hits that sweet spot where she's young enough to relate to kids, but she's mature enough in the aspect of how, I guess, motherly she is, or like wifely she is, or acts, that children look up to that aspect of her, I guess. He certainly had a
り
point.
っちゃんは見た目は幼く見えるけど、きっと遠野くんが思ってるより大人だと僕は思うな。
You think quite highly of Ritsu. Also, I don't need the manager to tell me that. I already know.
僕の人を見る目は確かだよ。遠野くんという逸材も発掘したし。
The manager gave me a thumbs up and smiled widely. Didn't you just hire 3 part-timers recently that didn't work out?
そんな遥か遠い過去のことなんて忘れたよ。
Listen, all I'm saying is, the manager's not wrong. Because if those 3 part-timers didn't flake, he wouldn't have hired or wouldn't have been able to hire Ritsu and Hibiki. Alright, that's all I'm saying. It was a blessing in disguise. He got 2 workers that are so much better than the 3 part-timers that would have quit right after summer break ends. With Hibiki and Ritsu, I mean, I'm not sure if they're gonna quit. Right, Hibiki's very hell-bent on using this job as an excuse to experience youth. So she's probably very likely to quit after summer because, you know, you can't experience youth if you have a job outside of summer break. Right? And then for Ritsu, I'm like, she'll probably stay. She might stay for you. Right? Or both of them might grow fond of their job and they want to keep it after summer break. Who knows? Manager, please tell me what side dishes we served with yesterday's dinner specials.
遠野くん、僕認知症じゃないから。僕は嫌なことはさっさと忘れて次に行く主義なだけだよ。だって僕たちは今にしか生きられないんだからね。
A very I'm not going to say mature. A very hopeful thought process. What? The manager made the same suggestion as Hibiki. I see. He was right. I had every intention of enjoying my summer vacation to the fullest, so I could enjoy my youth in the here and now. Oh. Manager, that reminds me about finding a replacement part-timer for me.
さ、仕事頑張らなくっちゃ。
Right. The manager retreated into the back and tried to sidestep me. Or rather, had successfully sidestepped me. We have a serious labor shortage recently. And by the look of things, the three of us were going to be working here for a while yet. The bell from a nearby table went off, as if to further instigate me. I gazed out at the floor. Everyone was busy at the moment. I'd better get out there. I apologize for the wait. Are you ready to order?
こんにちは、ゆうくん。
Oh, no. I mean, like, there's less animosity between Nagomi and you considering he cashed in the check that she gave him. But, like, still, this is only the second time we've seen her outside of the common route. And, like, while Nagomi and you aren't on bad terms, like, she, you know, she didn't come off as a likable character, that's for sure. Pardon me. I saw the new headmaster and did an immediate U-turn.
こら、ちゃんと接客しなさい。
What do you mean? I did the whole customer service voice and everything. You have to make sure to smile while speaking, and that's how you get the customer service voice.
お客様アンケートで、チーフの接客最悪って書いちゃうわよ。
I reluctantly turned back around.
そうそう。仕事に市場を挟むのは良くないわ。
My aunt smiled with the survey sheet and a pen in hand. That doesn't sound like something a person who tried to reform the academy due to selfish reasons should say.
そんな過去のことは忘れたわ。
I happened like a week ago. What do you mean? Nagomi, please tell me what side dishes you had with dinner yesterday.
コンビニで買ったお弁当をレンチンよ。
Very. Was that normal for a woman who lived on her own? Reheated boxed lunch from the convenience store. I mean, look, it's very dreary if it was a convenience store in the West, but like in Japan, a boxed lunch from a convenience store in Japan is a fucking Michelin star meal compared to the shit you'd get from a 7-Eleven here. Alright, that's all I'm gonna say.
あと、学園の改革は私の市場じゃないわ。
I mean, like, it sounds like I'm glazing convenience stores in Japan a lot, and I am, but you don't know. You don't know the amount of shit that you get from a convenience store here.
市の偉い人からのお達しよ。風見学園は一律だし、何もしないわけにはいかなかったの。振りだけでもね。そうしないと上は収まらないわ。
Huh? Pretend? You said at the time that you did it to pressure me, to put pressure on me.
やったとは言ってないでしょ。やったとしたら、と言ったのよ。
That was all an act? That was absolutely flawed. I mean, yeah, it shouldn't be surprising that you didn't know, considering I kind of guessed that it was before she revealed that it was in front of Kika, right? But like, still, it still doesn't change the fact that it was very annoying going through that story because, like, you know.
やっとわかった？ 悪役扱いはもう勘弁よ。
Listen, blame the writers, alright? Listen, if you're gonna blame anyone, blame the writers. My aunt grimaced and held out both hands. But Aunt Nagomi...
その話をすると長くなるわ。今晩お家に行ってもいいかしら。
That's fine. I gave that natural-sounding response. I didn't sense the same same sort of hostility from her now as I had previously.
よかったわ。門前払いも覚悟していたから。
My aunt sighed. She may have been nervous. What would you like to order?
このタピオカ入りフルーツパフェで。
Weird combo, but what are you cooking? Certainly.
何よ今の間は。
I mean, like, it's a first. I just thought you ordered something rather cute.
いいからもう行きなさい。
I mean, she's still a woman, right? She is still a girl. So, like, it makes sense. Understood.
生意気になったわね。内申点に響くわよ。
Didn't I say not to let personal feelings... didn't you say not to let personal feelings affect your work? My aunt was truly terrifying.
なごみおばさんが今晩、ゆうとリツに会いに来るの？
Yeah, that's how it all worked out. When I got finished changing, I talked to Ritsu and Hibiki about what happened this morning.
お兄ちゃん、大丈夫？またトランプで勝負して変なことにならない？喧嘩はダメだよ。争いは何も生まないんだよ。
My sister acted flustered. I know. I won't fight with her anymore. I was a youthful boy that had decided to live in the here and now. That woman was in my past now. Yeah, that depiction of her was also in the past. She wouldn't sway me.
ゆう、なごみさんの目的は何かしら？まだゆうに美咲家の人間になってほしいの？
Beats me. I have no intention of that happening though. If she brings it up, then I'll tell her the same thing. My expression grew stern. I must maintain a dauntless demeanor and show no weakness.
大丈夫？なんか不安だわ。ゆうってしっかりしてそうで、実は甘いから。ああ、そうそう。
Huh?
頼まれたら断れない性格じゃん。
Okay.
そうそうそう。
What? No, that's not true. No matter who it is, I'll stick to my own opinions. And just then.
チーフ、すみません。この請求書の処理わかんなくて。
I'll take care of it. So leave it in on the desk. Leave it in on the desk in the office for me. Leave it on the desk in the office for me.
ありがとうございます。失礼しました。
No, in. The first in. Yeah, leave. Well, whatever. Murakami entrusted me with the task. It made a swift departure.
ほら。
Listen. It's only true for everyone whose name isn't Nagomi, alright? I almost F5 to check what her name was, but I didn't because I remembered.
お兄ちゃん、言ったそばから。
My childhood friend and little sister both glared at me with contempt. They were criticizing me with their eyes. Wait. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? It's my job to support the rest of the staff. I went on the defense.
そうかしら。青春部だって聖さんに無茶言われても結局聞いてあげてるし、私が無茶言っても聞いてくれるし。
If you're aware of it, then could you stop doing it, Hibiki? Her requests were premeditated. Brutal. I get it, Hibiki, Ritsu. I'll try to work on it. From this moment forward, no matter what anyone requests, I'll be Refusal Man. I hardened my resolve. No matter what anyone requested from you, Tono, from here on out, you would be Refusal Man. But I refuse. It would be my catchphrase. No, you're not allowed to use that catchphrase. Alright? That's already Rohan Kishibe's catchphrase.
そこまで意固地にならなくてもいいけど。
Listen, it's not my fault. Both of you are criticizing him for it. It's your fault. I was gonna say it's the writer's fault again, but never mind.
私の無茶は聞いてほしいんだけど。
If you know you're unreasonable, then don't ask. What a cruel childhood friend.
あ、ごめん、遠野くん。帰り際に悪いんだけど、今食材がいっぱい届いちゃって。
Oh, do you not have anyone on duty to help?
時間外だけど、頼めるかな?
Surely Refusal Man will say no. I just have to carry it all to the freezer, right?
ありがとう。今裏口に業者さん来てるから。
I'll be right there.
遠野くんはやっぱり頼りになるな。
お兄ちゃん、行っちゃったね。はあ、何が断るまんよ。でも、それがお兄ちゃんのいいところだから。
Then don't make it sound like a point of criticism.
そうね。でも、そこにつけ込まれると心配よ。
Yeah, I'm sure that there wouldn't be a single person who has already tried to take advantage of his kindness. And I'm definitely not looking at that person right now. The one on the right, not the one on the left.
なごみおばさんはそんなことしないと。
Look, at least Nagomi is hot. And that's the worst part. I hate her. But her character design is hot and her voice is hot. But like, you know, never mind.
いいな。心配だから、私も同席するわ。響きお姉ちゃん、愛してるキシはいはい、私も愛してるわよ、リツ。あんたは、私にとっても妹みたいなものなんだしね。
Look, all I'm saying is, Nagomi has a very, there is a very easy way for Nagomi to get me to fold. That didn't sound right, but you know what I mean.
Ara, 響ちゃんも来てたの?
There are it involves two very obvious things that I don't think I need to point out.
お邪魔してます。私、お茶入れてくるね。
We had welcomed Aunt Nagomi into our living room. A questionably tense mood hung in the air, but
安心して、響ちゃん。もうゆうくんに美咲家の人間になれとは言わないわ。
but like, you know, if you are still motivated in doing it, there's a very easy way for you to get me to join. Never mind. My aunt seemed to have sensed what was going on and cut right to the chase.
別にそんな。
I mean, what else would she think when... What else would she have thought when she saw Hibiki was also here? Right? It's like, oh, Hibiki's here. They must be worried that I will try to get you to join the Nagomi, the Misaki family. Right?
私はただリツの夕食がまた食べたいだけで。
And Hibiki is going to would be used as an extra line of defense if, you know, if Ritsu was unable to convince you to not join the Misaki family or something like that. Hibiki's eyes were swimming. Hibiki, eyes won't work on her.
すみません。私、なごみさんを警戒してました。
Hibiki immediately spilled her guts. To be honest, she was a little too blunt.
私、ユウが丸め込まれちゃう未来しか見えなくて。
I wish you wouldn't say that. The truth was sometimes cruel.
そもそも美咲家の遺産は、私と姉でもう相続は済んでるわ。父の遺書はなかったから、残念ながらゆうくんに相続権はないの。だから、あえて美咲家に入ってもらうメリットは、私にはないのよ。
Hang on. Father had no will, which meant you had no legal right to that money. Right. That's understandable. His dad died early, and he wouldn't have thought about writing a will at that age. But the fact that... Wait. When Nagomi says father, she's talking about her dad. Right? As in Yu's granddad, not Yu's dad. Who is also dead, I think. Right? But it's the fact that she's bringing up you in the conversation about not being able to have that money. And I mean, like, I guess a granddad would write their grandchild's name in their will. But it would make more sense if she was referring to his dad. Right? There's another situation of you there's another situation of me thinking you and Ritsu are blood related when they aren't. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking on the scene that happened before, alright? When he got melancholic and shit, thinking about his past, thinking about the past. Is that what happened?
そっか。よかったのかな。
Ritsu walked into the room with a tray in hand. Her stiff expression had loosened up somewhat.
じゃあ、どうしてのごみさんは、この間、あんなことを。ここに来た時も、学園でも、明らかにユウを追い詰めてましたよね。
I would like to know that too.
そうね。でも、
I would like to know that as well. My aunt took a drink of the barley tea Ritsu had prepared.
今日はそれをゆうくんとりっちゃんに話すつもりだったんだけど、身内のみっともない揉め事なのよね。
My aunt looked unusually sullen.
ユウ、リツ、私、今日は帰る？
No. I shook my head. You had to deal with a lot of it too, so you have a right to hear what she has to say. It's a good opportunity to tell you how the two of us ended up living alone. Yeah, and this is the backstory that I wanted. This is the backstory that I was expecting when I clicked on Ritsu's face to use to play through her route. I hadn't told Hibiki about how my stepfather had passed away. Okay, yeah, that's... Okay, yeah. I was right. At least. But still brings up... Okay. So, either Nagomi is talking about her dad, aka Yu's granddad, or she's referring to Yu's stepdad as his dad, right? Just, you know, in the same way that you and Ritsu call each other brother and sister, even though they're step siblings, right? Nagomi would call Yu's stepdad his dad, right? I'm very confused. I'm confused on the wording, right? Not because of who Nagomi is referring to, but what she says after he brings up that father had no will. Right? Because, well, it would make less sense if a granddad didn't have a will than if a stepdad who died early didn't have a will. Right? Listen, I'm just... I guess I'm lacking information. Right? And the backstory is the information that I'll get. Is the information I need to put the puzzle pieces together. Like, this is a mystery or something, even though it isn't. Kind of. Nor had I told her about what had called it. About what had called it? Caused it? That's a very bad typo if it is caused. But, yeah, what had called it. Hibiki likely had her own assumptions and hadn't bothered asking. Not since the day we reunited. I had been grateful for that, but Hibiki, listen to what I have to say first. I doubt you'll understand what Nagomi has to say until after I tell you my story.
わかったわ。
Hibiki sat up straight and nodded firmly.
お兄ちゃん。
Ritsu, I assume it's okay to tell Hibiki.
響ちゃんは私のお姉ちゃんだもん。隠し事は良くないってずっと思ってた。
Ritsu nodded repeatedly. You're fine with this then, Nagomi? I looked at my aunt, who was seated straight across from me.
仕方ないわね。響ちゃん、嫌な気分になったらごめんなさい。発端は私の姉のエゴからなのよ。
ユウのお母さんのエゴ?
That information I didn't need to clarify. I didn't need clarification on. When she said big sister, I immediately assumed that it meant used mom. I explained only the facts as indifferently as possible, all while forcibly suppressing any and all negative emotions. It started off with that woman abandoning our family and running off with another man, which led to my stepfather falling into a deep depression and eventually passing away. I explained that I no longer considered that woman to be my mother, and how I was living on, keeping my promise to my stepfather to protect Ritsu.
おじさんとおばさん、あんなに仲良かったのに。私、おばさんには優しくしてもらった記憶しかないわよ。
Let me think. Okay. So, who is Yu's actual dad? Right? Did he also die? Right? Is he also dead and that's why and that's why his mom moved on to his stepdad? Or is he still alive and the person that his mom ran away with was Yu's real dad? I don't know. Adding, right. Specifying that he is referring to his stepdad complicates things a lot, right? Because it would make it would be very simple. I mean, yeah, I guess the backstory would be very simple. Would be much simpler if it was just his dad, right? And then it's like, okay, mom and dad, they you know, mom and dad, they broke up. Mom and dad were happily married together, and then, you know, the mom ran away with someone, right? Meanwhile, this is like, okay, so Yu's dad and mom had you. She remarried, and she remarried with another man and had Ritsu. And I understand that they're doing this because they don't want blood-related brother and sister to be together. Right? They don't have as big of balls. Their balls aren't as big as Yuzu Soft and Palette. Right? Angelic Chaos and 9-9 respectively. Makers of.
嘘みたい。あんな優しい人が、そんなことするなんて。
Hibika replied, then hung her head. Had it come as a big shock to her, especially as a woman? Maybe I shouldn't have told her. I'm sorry if this totally ruined your mood, Hibiki.
響ちゃん、無理ならもう席を外してもいいよ。
そうよ、無理しないで。
The three of us turned to look at Hibiki. I could see her shoulders trembling, slightly. But
何言ってんのよ。全部聞くわよ。聞かなきゃ、これから何かあった時、何もできないじゃない。あんたたちの力になれないじゃない。もう蚊帳の外はごめんだわ。
Hibiki grabbed her glass and downed the contents all at once. And then, bam! She set the glass down.
落ち着いたわ。さあ、次はなごみさんの話ね。もう、覚悟はできたわ。
You know, I kind of feel bad for Hibiki. Because this scene has made her very likable. Right? And it's a shame that this is in Ritsu's route. And look, I'm not saying it should be in Hibiki's route, because it makes a lot more sense for this to be in Ritsu's route, considering this concerns Ritsu and you. Right? And then Hibiki's just the fourth wheel. She's there. Right? But if there was a scene similar to this in Hibiki's route, it definitely wouldn't have been second worst. That's the best I can say. I mean, like, you know, have this in replacement of the whole fucking festival thing, and you'd have a 10 out of 10. It could have been the best round in the game. Might be hyperbole, but, you know.
どんなえぐい話でも、オッケーよ。
Could have been at least a solid second place. My childhood friend pursed her lips into a straight line. It looked like she was going to stay here with us until the very end. Go ahead, Nagomi.
いいのね。私もそんなに楽しい話じゃないけど。
There's no avoiding it.
うん、そうだね。耳を塞いでいても何も解決しないし。
そうね。その通りだわ。私がゆうくんにうちの人間になりなさいって提案したのも、やっぱり大人のエゴが原因なのよ。
What do you mean?
遺産の額が大きすぎたわ。お金って嫌ね。人を醜く変えてしまうもの。
Uh-huh. My aunt slowly began her story. The inheritance she and that woman accepted had amounted to 500 million yen each. What the, by the way. Jesus Christ. It's a little less than $5 million, right? But still, the worst part is that his mom got half of it, right? And if only there was a will written, I can guarantee you it would have been Nagomi and you that got the money instead. But then I guess there wouldn't be a Kakenuke. Nagomi was young and simple at the time, but that woman had remarried 6 years prior. She had a number of failed marriages, to be more precise. Rumors begun to spread amongst members of the Misaki family, all of whom were wondering what would become of that woman's 500 million yen.
もし仮に姉さんが亡くなったら、ゆうくんにも相続権があるの。
Uh-huh.
当然よね。血のつながった息子なんだから。
I hadn't even considered that as a possibility. Also, you know, Yu is too prideful to accept an inheritance from his shitty-ass mum, you know? I didn't want that woman's money in the first place. What did I say?
親族の中に、ゆうくんが受け取ることを納得してない人がいるのよ。なんでよその子に大金をって。
よその子って、そんな言い方ひどいです。
Compared to me, Ritsu looked exceptionally angry. She pounded her fist on the table, causing the glasses to sway. And I could see tears brimming in the corners of her lashes.
リツ、
Ritsu, I'm fine, really. I'm Tono Yu. I don't care what anyone from the Misaki family thinks of me.
それで、いろいろとゆうくんの素行を調査する人も現れてね。りっちゃんと二人暮らししていることを知られちゃって。
What do they think it's... What do they think... What do they think it's indecent for us to live in the same house together when we're not blood related? That they should cut ties with such a filthy man?
ありていに言えばそうね。
Aunt Nagomi broke the news with a sigh.
何言ってるんですか、その親戚の人。
Hibiki's voice was trembling from rage.
ユウとリツが困ってる時は何もしないで放置してたくせに。
You know, what the fuck? You know, that's the best way I can put this. What the fuck? Alright, what the fuck is wrong with the Misaki family? What the fuck is wrong with the writers? Because they're doing this. This, I can't say darkest, right? But I guess I can. This is the darkest the writers have gotten. And if they can get this dark with the story, then what the fuck were they doing in everyone else's route? Right? Because the darkest the darkest they got before this point, other than the common route, right, where we got snippets of what happened with Yu's parents, was Riri's route. Right? And, well, it's the best route in the game. So, like, I'm not saying that there's a correlation between very dark... I'm not saying there's a correlation between how dark a story gets and how good it is. But what I am saying is that Hibiki and Nagiko's routes would have been so much better if there was a slight bit of darkness. Right? I'm using dark too much, but you get what I mean. It was my main criticism in Nagiko's route, that it was very obvious that they were leaning into Nagiko's dad and her having a sort of falling out thing, right? And it never did that because the writers didn't want to get that dark until here. And I don't know when they wrote Ritsu's route, whether it's one of the last ones they wrote or one of the first ones. And Nagiko's route was kind of just an afterthought, even though she's a main character, right? She was one of the 4 fucking characters in the game that you had to play through if you wanted Kika's route. But for a side character route to be one of the darkest in the game, I'm like, what the fuck? What, you couldn't have done this in any other character's routes? But besides my complaints, depending on how this goes, this could be the best round in the game, right? This could be a very good route.
今さら、いかがわしい。二人は兄弟なのよ。兄弟が二人で助け合って生きて、何がいけないの？なごみさん、今すぐそいつの住所を教えて。
Nagomi, please never tell her that. I grabbed my riled up childhood friend's arm and held her in place. If left unchecked, she was liable to kick down all of their doors.
そうね。私もそれを聞いたとき、めまいがするほど腹が立ったわ。何かと私にお金の無心もしてくるし、うんざりよ。でも、ね。
Nagomi paused and stared right at me.
それでもゆうくん、あなたは姉からお金を受け取るべきよ。
But why not you? You've already established that you are very against the line you are very against how the rest of your family thinks. So why don't you help him by giving him money from your bank account? Right? Why don't you give him money instead of telling him that he should be getting it from his deadbeat mom? Why is that?
ゆうくん、お金が全てとは言わないけど、あった方がいいのは確かなの。若い頃は特に、将来の選択肢が増えるわ。それに姉は、あなたやりっちゃんにひどいことをした。もらえばいいのよ。慰謝料だと思って。ね。
Nagomi desperately persuaded me. My question still stands. Alright? And I mean, like, sure, I guess it would be more satisfying for Yu's deadbeat mom to have less money. And you would feel kind of bad if Nagomi was giving you money. Right? But still, how are you going to be able to convince his mom, to give him money? Give him the money that he would deserve. I could tell that much without even using my abilities. This person, at this very moment, cared about me from the bottom of her heart, and seemingly is the only person in the Misaki family who cares about you. I understand where you're coming from. However, I have no intention of taking on the Misaki name.
そうね。確か、親子の血縁関係は絶対切れないはずよ。
Well, she's not saying to join the Misaki family. That's what she said at the start. So, there has to be there's another way that she isn't mentioning yet. There's another way that you can get the money that doesn't require him to join the family.
このままでも相続はできるんじゃ。
その通りよ。だから、私の親族はゆうくんに相続権を放棄させるつもりなの。りっちゃんとのことを公にすると脅すかもしれない。
Right. And what would that accomplish?
その前に先手を打って、ゆうくんを美咲家の人間にって思ってたのよ。
そうだったんですか。お兄ちゃんのこと、いろいろ考えてくれてたんですね。
I mean, I'm glad they're doing this, right? It's recontextualizing right? Why Nagomi is so steadfast in you joining the Misaki family. But, you know, you as a person, and he should be respected, regardless of the fact that he isn't an adult, right? Not only does it not change the fact that he shouldn't be respected, but that he should be respected. It's also it doubly applies to him because he is forced to be basically play an adult role, right? And both Ritsu and you are basically meant to play the adult role, right? Where Ritsu is as much of a provider for this family as you is, in their own ways, right? So it's very it's not a criticism, right? This is very good recontextualization, but you know, it's more of a criticism on Nagomi as the character, not how she's written.
よかった。やっぱりなごみおばさんは、なごみお姉ちゃんは優しかった。ありがとうございます。
Ritsu broke down into tears. Look, as long as she isn't doing this to guilt trip Ritsu, she'd be at least not fifth. She'd be at least third place on the list. Fourth place, I guess. Don't cry. I smiled wryly and handed her a box of tissues.
だって嬉しかったんだもん。お兄ちゃんとなごみお姉ちゃん、急によそよそしくなって。この間も結果越しだったし、私、すっごい悲しかったんだもん。
My sister cried her eyes out.
リツ、泣かないの？こら、ユウ、なごみさんも、私の妹泣かさないでよ。
Hibiki rose to her feet, pulled Ritsu into a tight embrace and proceeded to scold us. Sorry, Ritsu. I'm sorry.
ごめんね、りっちゃん。
Nagomi and I were fairly shaken up as well. We didn't stand a chance against my crying little sister.
もう今日は話はここまでよ。ユウ、みんなで夕ご飯にしましょう。豪勢に。リツの好物でパーッと。
Sounds good. Let's order pizza. Let's order pizza and load it up with as many of Ritsu's favorite toppings as she wants.
マジですか、お兄ちゃん。
That seemed to have lifted Ritsu's spirits, and her eyes began to sparkle.
マルゲリータにダブルチーズと明太子いっちゃっても。
Okay. Margarita double cheese. Roe? Like fish eggs? Oh. No. No. You can order whatever you want. We can even order the fried chicken if you'd like that as well. She was so happy she literally jumped for joy.
ユウ、当然、私もいいわよね。
This isn't a situation where I can exactly say no.
さあ、私はイベリコ豚とシーフードミックスよ。
Prosciutto and a seafood medley. That sounds better than what Ritsu wants on her fucking pizza, but yeah, not a single inkling of modesty in those choices. I might not have enough cash to cover that. Well, good thing we've got Miss Moneybags over here. I checked inside my wallet and sighed.
何言ってるの、ゆうくん。私が出すわ。 イベリコ豚でも松阪牛でも何でも好きにしなさい。
Are you sure?
新学園長の経済力を見くびらないの。
Nagomi, after literally talking about how you have 500 million yen in your bank account from the inheritance, I don't think you should be bringing up your headmaster status. Like that's the reason you have so much money. All right. Nagomi chuckled and showed us her credit card. It was black. Could that be the fabled black card that she would have gotten from the inheritance because of all the money in her bank account now, and not from her headmaster position? By the way, I kind of forgot how she became the headmaster, and I really would like to know more about her situation and why she did all of this and how she did all this, and well, I hope we do. I hope we get more of Nagomi, because like this is becoming this might be my favorite route. Might become my favorite route. The one said to be able to charter even a helicopter.
早く電話電話
But say that sentence again without the question mark. Yeah. I kept my stock from the. I kept my shock from seeing the black card in check when I called the local pizza place from my smartphone.
食べ過ぎたわもうお腹パンパンだよ
After the feast, Ritsu and Hibiki toppled over next to each other on the sofa. They were almost like tunas that had just been caught. Well, both of them ate a lot of seafood, so you got carried away and ordered way too much. There were 8 empty pizza boxes stacked on top of the table. 8? What's more, there were 4 large bottles of soda left behind. How much would that cost for delivery? I tabulated the cost in my head and stopped midway through. Good idea. Also, I don't know, I didn't mean to press F4. I meant to press F5. Also, why are you only talking about the delivery costs? I'm sure at that point the delivery fees would be negligible compared to the amount of money you'd have to spend on the food and drinks. Unless he's referring to the whole package when he says delivery.
ゆうくん、私はそろそろ帰るわ。
Nagomi stood up. Thank you very much for treating us today. I'll walk you home.
大丈夫よ。タクシーがもうすぐ来るから。
You've got a very dazzling celebrity-esque aura about you. Your grandfather's inheritance was overpowered. Okay, thanks for the clarification. Which means that... Okay. I mean, thanks for the clarification. I was right in thinking that Nagiko that Nagomi was referring to her dad. But how the fuck did he not write an inheritance? What? I mean, a will, right? Why did he not write a fucking will when he's at an age that, you know, at least start thinking about it, right? Like, you didn't even have a single fucking line written down before kicking the bucket?
一応言っとくけど、私は祖父の遺産には1円も手をつけてないわ。
Like, you couldn't have you couldn't have wrote, like, use mum $0, 0 yen, and then die. Just, oh, well,
ゆ
I
うくん
guess,
とりっちゃんが社会人になったら、全額どこかに寄付するつもりよ。
I guess all of the money is going to Nagomi, all 1 billion yen, and oh, look, she just so happens to want to give half of it to you as a gift. So there's no familial ties. I mean, like, I'm sure that you would refuse outright until he hears the story. And, you know, he might reluctantly do it and feel extremely guilty over accepting the 500 million from her. But, you know, I'm sure that he would overcome that guilt when he rationalizes the fact that Nagomi would have only inherited half of it if the granddad didn't fully what am I trying to say? If no, it would have tried to rationalize it when he would have tried to rationalize it with the fact that Nagomi would have gotten only half of it if his granddad didn't write in the will that his mum wouldn't get half of the money, right? Wouldn't get half of the inheritance. Yeah, what? My aunt replied casually. Why would you do that?
言ったでしょ。お金は人を醜くするって。
Listen, all I'm saying is you still have a black card, so like, you know.
あなたたちに万が一のことがあった時以外は遺産に頼らないわ。
Yeah, you tell me to accept it.
だからあなたたちは慰謝料代わりにって。
So yeah, there's the thing. I'm very confused on Nagomi's plot because she not only just established that she has already committed to giving you and Ritsu the 500 million when they become full adults, right? When they become 18, when you is 18, but she wants you to get the money from his mum as well. Right? I don't know.
それくらい私の姉はひどいことをしたのだから。
Nagomi replied, all while grabbing her handkerchief. She wiped away the droplets that had risen to the corners of her eyes.
見ていられなかったのよ、私。姉のせいで。あなたやりっちゃんが苦労してるの。でも、私とゆうくんは、以前あんなことがあったじゃない？あれは、私のエゴのせいね。ごめんなさい。ほんと、大人って嫌ね。自分のことばかりで。
Listen, I may not want to join the Masaki family, but like, if you want me to join you, your family specifically, you know, never mind. I already made that joke. Nagomi One-san. I grabbed the box of tissues off the table and held them out to her. It's all right now. It's all in the past. Please don't blame yourself anymore. Besides, I'm focused on my youth. All right? I don't care about the past anymore, except when I have to bring up the sad backstory about my dad and mum. But, you know, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't have to worry about anything else.
ありがとう。優しいのね。
Nagomi took a few tissues and wiped her tears. Come visit us again when you have some time to spare, and also at a time where Misaki family isn't watching us. It will make Ritsu happy, unless they're still watching us right now.
ゆうくんは本当にりっちゃんが大切なのね。
She is my little sister. Nagomi's expression darkened at my comment.
ゆうくん、りっちゃんの気持ちには当然気づいているわよね。
That's... I turned momentarily evasive, but I quickly regained my bearings. In admiration of sorts towards her big brother.
否定はしないわ。行為に明確な線引きなんてできないものね。
She'll become less attracted to me as her brother soon enough. Well... No. Unfortunately, that is impossible. Maybe you should have had this conversation a different girl's route, but because you're doing it in Ritsu's route, like, you know, like a chick that flies away from its nest.
そうね。
Although she made it sound like she agreed, she didn't seem to truly mean it. I could sense that much.
タクシー来たよね。
Uh-huh.
行くわ。おやすみ、ゆうくん。
Good night, Nagomi. What kind of taxi rings the fucking doorbell? I gently waved to her as she left the room. How long it had been since I had seen this woman off like this. Not since that incident, so it had to have been around 5 years. Either way, it was far off in the past. Okay, Hibiki, it's about time for you to head home. Or so I was about to say when I turned around.
せやら。
My sister and childhood friend were asleep shoulder to shoulder on the sofa. They really were close, huh? Well, I'm sure Hibiki will be very disappointed when Ritsu and you start dating. She'll be like, it should have been me, not her. Alright, the Yu-Gi-Oh meme. Simply seeing these two put my heart at ease.
にゃんにゃん。響きだん。好き。
Ritsu nuzzled her cheek against Hibiki in her sleep. May as well let them sleep like this a little longer. Well, at least she didn't say your name. I called Hibiki's parents on my phone. They seemed grateful for the call. Oh, sorry. Our Ritsu's so attached to Hibiki. I'll be sure to walk her home probably in the next hour or so. I gazed at them both as I made the call. At some point or another, they reached out and clasped hands. Almost like they were real sisters. Well, this isn't a Yuri, so... I suddenly felt the urge to cry. I wondered why. I wasn't sure for the reason, but it felt like my heart was in a vice. Yes, thank you so much. I'll see you later. I rambled on in the hopes they wouldn't realize that I was crying.